Now, Central Oregon's local alert weather with Chief Meteorologist Bob Shaw.
Good Monday morning, 7 minutes past the hour, and this morning Florida officials are urging residents to prepare for possible evacuations as tropical storm, now Hurricane Ian, will soon make landfall. Trevor Sakshaki has that report.
So expect heavy rains, strong winds, flash flooding, storm surge, and even isolated tornadoes.
Preparing for those impacts of a hurricane also includes knowing your evacuation zone.
Also anticipate that in certain areas of the state, if you are in a very vulnerable area, there may even be evacuations that are issued.
These are the evacuation zones in the Tampa Bay area.
I encourage all Floridians to not only continue these preparedness efforts, but also take the time to know their zone and know their home.
The most at risk are low-lying areas, in red, called Zone A. They'll be evacuated first, then orange, yellow, and so on.
If your home address is not in one of the labeled colors, you do not live in an evacuation zone, and therefore you need to know your home.
Florida Division of Emergency Management Director Kevin Guthrie said knowing your home involves assessing its risk for storm surge or winds.
If you're in a manufactured home, low-lying area, or some other structure that cannot sustain winds, you will need to evacuate when your local emergency manager asks you to do so.
If you don't live in one of the evacuation zones and your residence can sustain winds and storm surge, you can choose to shelter in place. Just know you may lose power for multiple days.
Well, this morning, this is what Ian looks like. We are looking at a storm that is gaining a lot of strength almost by the moment. We do have western portions of Cuba that are already under hurricane warnings, and even though it's just a tropical storm watch that is in place for much of Florida, the track for the storm is going to not only take it right into the mainland of Florida, it is also going to gain strength. The sea surface temperatures over the Gulf of Mexico are extremely warm right now, and that is just like moving a hurricane over warm water is like throwing gas on a fire, and it will gain strength as it goes. When it makes landfall, it may be downgraded to a Category 1, but even then, we're still looking at high winds and a heavy storm surge, and you can see when it's right off the coast of Tampa Bay, expected to escalate to a Category 4 hurricane. Well, this morning we are looking at a chilly morning, but we're going to warm ever so nicely. Our average is 75 degrees. We're headed for the mid, maybe upper 80s for our daytime highs today. Sunrise this morning at 6:57. Sunset at 6:54. So looking at just about an equal amount of daylight and darkness here. Sunrise is a little bit away, and you can see already that we're under nice clear skies. That southwesterly breeze at the Bend Airport has backed off just a little bit. It is 48 degrees at the Bend Airport. It has been for over an hour. 44 degrees now at the Redmond Airport, and they've picked up a little breeze out of the south-southeast. Well, across the nation, we're in pretty good shape here this morning thus far. We do have some rain across the Great Lakes, some thunderstorms right at the Texas-Mexico border. Here in the Pacific Northwest, we've been watching a very weak low-pressure center make its way through the Northwest. It brought a few clouds to the Puget Sound area. In fact, early this morning, we had a few clouds from that right here on the high desert. We're expecting another sunny, warm day. In fact, we don't surrender this airflow for the next couple of days, so expect that to be the case for Tuesday as well. Now, late Tuesday, we're going to see a little bit of change. This low pressure center is going to build its way in. The trough associated with that is also going to pull in some cooler air, so we'll begin to see the change late Tuesday night into Wednesday, and then cooler temperatures temperatures will prevail. We are looking at mid-30s to mid-40s for most of central Oregon this morning. Light and variable winds, and likely they are going to stay that way through the course of the day. Highs today will be much like yesterday. Most of us will be in the mid-80s. There'll be a few spots that'll hit that 90-degree mark, but not a great many. Well, we'll cling to these warm temperatures, and that low pressure trough works its way through. Wednesday night, we get a slight chance of some scattered showers. It doesn't last long. We'll see clearing skies for the rest of the week, but the cooler temperatures are going to stay with us.